Hello and welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where I trip over my words and we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics and add a humanist lens to things and stuff. I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host who says yes. It's Christy.
Yes. Me and my stinky dog, Mr. Bean. Hi guys, happy Friday. We have a lot to cover tonight. A lot.
A lot. But before we do, we must also mention the man behind the curtain because he totally exists, Nacho Witness.
He does, we promise. Here. Take our word for it.
He's totally here. You see him every episode.
I see bright lights and hear angels singing when I think of his name, so he must be real. We just love him so much. He's a good guy. Everybody, if you're not subscribed to Nacho Witness, why? First of all, subscribe or else. Those are the only rules here. So let me go ahead. Yeah.
All right. He's even in our chat, even though you can't see his name. He's totally there.
Yeah.
So moving on, as John Oliver likes to say, in that fashion.
I do like the moving on, and I like Stephen Colbert's Meanwhile.
I like his Donald Trump impression.
And his Biden impression. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
It's so good. It's so good. He puts the aviators on. You can go see Mama. Go see her. All right.
All right. I will explain myself briefly. I am thinking about growing my hair out. I've been thinking about it a long time.
It's cold. It would be a good time to try it.
Right. And
by the time it's hot, you can put it up.
I would like people's thoughts in the chat. I have been doing No Shave November, but I have been trimming my neck beard.
That's good. And hopefully right here, because there's nothing worse.
I did just trim there the first time.
Kissing a man and being like,
yeah, I don't like cleaning the mustache while I eat.
Yeah, no one wants to floss and eat at the same time.
It takes a lot of time. So, facial hair peoples in the chat, if you'd like to let me know if you think I am cheating No Shave November by trimming, I would like to know what you think the rules are, because they're not posted on the calendar. I checked a lot of calendars and they're not posted there, which is where they should be posted, is on the calendar.
I agree. How are you supposed to know?
Right. Now on to other quickies. News quickies. We have first things first.
Jeez, dog.
We have the Republican Party agenda.
Yeah, I watched that today.
A full list, but I couldn't find one. So if you have one, Christy, that'd be great. But
their agenda, yes, they put it out today. They came out raring and roaring. They've admitted that they're going to spend the next foreseeable future going after Biden and his son.
Joe Biden and his family.
Right, who are private citizens. Private citizens.
Private citizens, yeah.
Yeah, which is, the conservatives.
It's just about going after the president.
Yeah, it's just about going after him and making him comfortable. Right, and that is what it's about. It's only about that. And they're still very butthurt that we had problems with Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka, making all of those deals in China, getting those patents that most people have to wait 15 years for. She just went over there and came back with them. We had problems with that. We had a problem with Kushner, her husband, taking $2 billion. Now, yes, these are Donald Trump's kids per se. They are his kids, not per se, but they were in the government. They were in politics. They had official jobs in the government. Hunter Biden does not. And I'm not saying we shouldn't investigate him. Listen, I am for, if there is corruption, I don't care if there's a DRI, I don't care. Get it out. So if they find something, well, yeah, I have no problems with that. I go after both sides, everyone that's corrupt, but not political hack jobs.
No. Yeah, not at all. And I would like to caveat. I always appreciate when Kyle Kalinske does this, when he's talking about Hunter Biden, right? And I'd like to know what you think of this at some point. But The way I look at it is
With your eyes?
with my eyes and with my ears.
I'm so smart.
My nose.
You want to smell where they're coming from?
Huh? What?
What? Inappropriate behavior.
Inappropriate.
I
We're gonna
co-sign.
have to talk to human resources behind the curtain.
Yeah. We're gonna have to go to the HR department after this.
Yeah. HR with
Wait,
it.
who's
After
that?
this.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Okay, yeah. My caveat. Hunter Biden, yeah, he had dealings in Ukraine. He got a whole bunch of money. I don't even remember the amount, but it was like in the millions at least.
Yes.
For being on a board for
Yes.
energy company.
He had no business.
Yeah, I mean, he did have it. That was the problem. He should have had no business.
No,
Right. And I can see that there would be some kind of legal conflict there, and that's fine. If
go for
part
it.
of the state wants to go after them for that, I would completely support that, because that's
right.
That's
However, caveat to that, then it should be okay to go after Kushner for the $2 billion, for his daughter, for those, for all of it. Get corruption out. I agree.
Yeah.
And it should be the same on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my biggest problem.
There were bad people on both sides.
Yeah.
But then the other part of that was like Hunter Biden's laptop, which mostly had like probably like some sex tapes and like him snorting cocaine off of a hooker. So first, I guess we'll start backwards from where I started. Snorting cocaine off a hooker, I think, is your own goddamn business. But
absolutely.
Joe Biden wrote the crime bill in the 90s.
Yes.
And I mean, if he thinks that drugs should land you in prison, then Hunter should go to prison, because that's only fair and consistent. I like consistency. Same. But I don't think drugs should land you in prison. That should be part of healthcare. Going to rehab, whether you have to or not. We'll get into have to or not in a different discussion. But drug use, hooker use, that's a personal thing. That's not a politics thing.
No. Right? We're both very libertarian when it comes to personal lifestyles. Like, I don't care.
Love it, hate it, but the law should stay away from your sex life, your substance life, and probably, what was that?
It's fine.
Okay.
You're grounded.
Snap. But yeah, so all of that should be off the table. That's his own damn business. If you want to expose that, because that's a political figure's son, I can see the sensationalism there, and I get it. I think freedom of press probably should cover that, but it's gross.
Yes.
It's super. It's very low. It's very low blow. Even for the president's son, it's very low blow.
I agree.
And that's and even if it's reported on, it shouldn't be sensationalized. Like, we should just get away from that kind of shit as a society. Like, if Ivanka Trump and her dad were having sex, whoever her dad is, right?
Donald Trump.
That's their own damn business, right?
You're my daughter.
I would like to know whether or not that's happening, but I don't think the police should go after them for it. They're both consenting adults, and I mean, he probably sleeps with his daughter. We all know that. Her husband knows that. But should we go after him for that? Well, yeah, we should say it's gross, but they shouldn't go to prison for it, right? So again, there's hot people on both sides. Everyone in politics is really sexy.
Oh, I mean,
Presidents have sexy children. Some of them snort cocaine. for hookers. I do that. I think it's wonderful. Others bang their daughters. I don't do that, but yeah, it would be great. It would be really, really hot.
Oh, yeah, he sniffed a lot during his announcement. It was too much. Stacey was listening, so she wasn't in the room watching, or she wasn't directly in front of it for much of it. For the last part of it, she was, but she's over here going, all I hear is the sniffing. Like, he's talking, yes, but then it's like da 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 da. Like, yeah, it was just, and like back to Biden's son, Hunter. Okay. So he was the top executive at a energy corporation. So are we going to go after all CEOs, CFOs who are using their own time and their own money, no matter how they got it, ill-gotten gains, I'm sure, to buy sex workers, to do illicit drug? What are we doing? What are we doing?
This isn't
I just hold people accountable who are in positions of power.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't have a say on anything that American people do. So it's just, yeah, it's a low blow, like you said. Yeah, it's just.
It is. I mean,
glued to politics this week, that's for sure.
I mean, something I do care about in politics is trying to just like figure out where that line of like free speech is and where that line is of freedom of press. But at the same time, I like to figure it out and use it as like a guiding principle kind of thing for myself. I don't like to like go on Twitter and argue about it all day because I feel like there's so
a waste of time.
It's such
only so many hours in a day.
Yeah,
that would be.
Yeah, I think that with like a lot of the social issues in politics, I've seen a lot of people get lost on the social issues. It's not that they're not important, but to me, at this stage of my life, in like the last 2 or 3 years, it's like the duh position, right? You should be for gay rights, trans rights, like the LGBTQ community stuff, all the like racist stuff, like that should all be duh. We only need to talk about it when someone's threatening rights. And right now, that's kind of happening. So that's our next quickie.
Very much so.
Actually. So next quickie here is gay marriage rights. Link.
As we just got married last month. Yeah. It's
yes,
just right there on our mind. Like, so what happens? What happens? Yeah, what happens? I mean, does that mean people that are already will be grandfathered in and no one else will? That's not fair. Or will they all just be legally annulled? Like, I just, no. So I'm glad that it did pass the Senate. We'll see.
It did pass. It did.
Yes, it did, with a minimum of 10 Republicans signing on. 10, which 10, I know there's, hundreds, but we'll take it. We'll take it.
So quickly, I'll just read this, basically the whole article. This is from the Texas Tribune. It was a decent article. I say, but anything coming from Texas is big and also like big fish big. Anyways, so Republican U.S. Senator, that doesn't matter. Okay, Cruz and Cornyn tried to block the Senate vote for this bill to get to the Senate. Whoop-de-doo. Ted Cruz does shitty things. That's every day. We don't even need to talk about that part. But 12 GOP lawmakers joined Democrats to clear the way for the bill's passage. The Respect for Marriage Act would repeal the 1996 Defense of Marriage Act, which barred the federal government from recognizing same-sex marriage until the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that law unconstitutional in 2013. The High Court went further in 2015 and ruled in Obergefell v. Hodgins that the states can't ban same-sex marriages, declaring that gay, lesbian, and bisexual Americans have a constitutional right to marry.
Right.
The core provisions of the Respect for Marriage Act would be relevant only if the Supreme Court reverses that decision in the way it revoked a constitutional right to abortion this summer. There's more, but it's worth stopping at this point. So the Republican side of the government right now is saying this is nonsense. They're just doing this for no good reason. They're stupid, dumb Democrats that are trying to put into law something that's already a constitutional right. Why would they do this? They're just trying to distract you. They're only focused on social issues and gay this, gay that. Yes. Also, like, this hurts the constitution of marriage. This is attacking straight people and the culture, how we know it. But they're completely leaving out a couple things. And the main thing being that when Roe v. Wade was overturned, it already says it down here, so I'll just scroll on down. Included in the U.S. Supreme Court's overturning of the constitutional protection for abortion was a concurring opinion from conservative Justice Clarence Thomas, who pushed the court to revisit cases related to same-sex marriage. He said we should go after Obergefell next.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
my
just
stomach
telling everyone in the Republican Party, hey, do something to send the Supreme Court a case so we can say no gay marriage for all. Make it unconstitutional. Which means the Democrats, if they are on the side of LGBTQ rights, having the same rights as everyone else, not special rights, just the same rights as everyone else, then they should fucking do something about that in case it does get overturned, because the conservative or the mostly conservative court, Supreme Court, has said, hey, we want to go after them. So that it's not a no good, dumb Democrat reason.
They're telling us what they want to do. Yeah, they're telling us what they're gonna do. They've been telling us. Yeah, they've been telling us for years that they want to take away Roe v. Wade. They want to take away a human with a uterus's right to choose when she or they choose to have a baby, choose to make a family. And that is the first time in the history of the United States that rights have been taken away and not expanded. That I cannot express how fucking insane that is. The Supreme Court is not playing. They are my big story tonight, which we will get into that some more, but is the Supreme Court. So we'll be coming back to the Supreme Court. Boy, I go hard.
I do.
I'm not playing. I am so pissed. You know, they have the lowest approval rating in the history of our country, the Supreme Court, right now. It's like 12 point something. It is like, oh, yeah, it's really bad. Because people know they're illegitimate. So there's that.
So the last thing that I want to say on this is that right-wing talk show hosts like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, their clips have been playing all over the place recently, saying, so because there were these 12 GOP leaders in the House that helped this pass, because even Ben Shapiro is friends with Dave Rubin.
Of course.
But what he says is, if you think that we should uphold gay marriage like we should uphold the sanctity of straight people being married, like if you think they should have the same right, you should not be in the Republican Party. You shouldn't be in it. You just don't belong here. Get the fuck out of the party. That's not what the party's about. Matt Walsh says basically the same thing. He's like, gay, bad, not for the Republican Party. But the Republican Party has been making the argument, we don't need this law passed. I thought we were through all this. We're totally for gay rights. It's fine. We don't need to pass a law over it because we're just over all that. But then the right wing's just going nuts over it's like, how could they do this? How could they make this a law?
I do want to, we do have someone in the chat that is, I'm sure they're still listening right now. So, tells me that I'm dense and that, what about prohibition? Rights were taken away to drink. That isn't part of our Constitution. Right. Okay. And Japanese internment camp, fucking disgusting. I hate that even happened. I think it's the most disgusting, despicable thing you can do to Americans here in America. And also, that wasn't part of our Constitution, a precedent that was taken away after 50 years. They were both wrong, and I don't agree with either one. However, that being said, LOL.
LOL.
Yeah. Geesh.
So
Poor guy.
yeah,
Girl, whatever you are.
I wanted to make it more of a topic, but I figured we could just put this in quickly because it's important.
Yeah,
I wanted to go. Yeah, put a pin in it because we're gonna have to be watching this one for a while.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. This is Mac's best case scenario, and bear with me. I think it's crazy at first. I would love for the Republican.
Oh, we just got corrected. Hold on. Prohibition was part of the Constitution. That is not how I read it. Please send that to me,
It's
Smitty.
one of the amendments, so it would be part of the Constitution.
The alcohol?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me write down a note for me, and I'll look it up. I love being corrected because that means I get to learn new stuff. So.
Yeah, it's one of them that they put in place, and then they canceled out again.
Well, yeah, I remember how it all went, but I just didn't know it was even part of the Constitution. So yeah, I will look that up, and I will probably tell you all about it.
Thank you, Smitty. Holy macaroni! Thank you. Here, look at this. Look at this wonderful person. Say hi. She got me a drink.
Mark. And
I almost choked on
my homework for the week.
Well, that's good. Cream soda and Di Serono. Go make yourself. All right. So, where was we?
Where was we? Still in news quickies, I think.
Lost it. It doesn't matter where we are. We're here.
So wherever you go, there you are.
There you go. We're all for we're all for gay stuff, and the Republican Party sucks and they have a really bad agenda. And now I think we can move on, right? Is that right? Or hold on, I had one more thing. Sorry, Nacho, don't push it too fast. Speaking of Matt Walsh. Speaking of Matt Walsh, this is a fun one. Okay. I had a link to a tweet. This is the kind of person that Matt Walsh is. He laid out a tweet for us. I believe it was yesterday. USA Today said at least 32 transgender and gender non-conforming people have been killed in the U.S. in 2022. The Human Rights Campaign announced Wednesday in its annual report ahead of the Transgender Day of Remembrance. So Matt Walsh quote tweets it and says, "That's an extremely low number and puts the trans murder rate below the murder rate for the general population." They're a small portion of the population. Thank you for proving that that the hate crime epidemic against trans people is entirely made up and mythological. Okay, one, I don't think that's mythological. I don't think he's using that word right. Two, it's so in one of the things that I had pulled up, I'm trying to think. I don't know. Okay, it's like 1.3% of the population. No, I'm sorry, not 1.3. 1.3 million people of our US population are trans, in some way trans. Which I'm gonna round this out. It's like 0.03 of our population. Like it's a very, very small percent of our population is trans. Okay, so does that mean that because there's such a small population,
right,
that when they're killed because people hate them and they think they're creepy or scary, that is not a hate crime? Like, does it have to be above a certain number for all of their deaths to be hate crimes?
right.
Based on because they hate them? Because Matt Walsh is supposed to be like one of the like logic bros of the right. And he's just saying, that's a really low percent. Doesn't look like a hate crime to me. You like it just doesn't make any sense. Because it's a complete non sequitur, is what it is. And it's just he's grasping at straws to say the hate crime epidemic against trans people is entirely up.
Yeah.
Because only 32 people died. That's a pretty small percentage. Percentages, bro. Percentages over hate crimes.
Right. One hate crime is still a hate crime.
I read that and I had an aneurysm. So I'm dead. That was sarcasm, not actually dead.
You're like, my brain cells.
Just in case Matt Walsh watches this.
Yeah.
That was sarcasm.
Matt Walsh.
Not actually. He doesn't really get like things and stuff.
Well, yeah, there's that. That's where we are. That's where we are. I don't.
Okay,
so
we're done with
don't understand. I don't think I'm qualified to run for office, and I would want all of the representatives to be smarter than me. I would want them to understand the Constitution better than me. Civil rights better than me. These are things that I expect out of our leaders, and unfortunately, that's not the reality we live in.
No, it's not. All right, do you want to go to the Red Trickle?
Yes, please.
All right, let's get out of this dumpster fire and jump into the Red Trickle, the Red Waves, the Red Tsunami, the Red Trickle. The pink little wave, like this.
I mean, I told you guys we were going to get the Senate. The House was, we knew going into it was going to happen. So
I honestly didn't know. And I felt like the blue was going to do a little bit better than everyone thought, just because.
I did.
I think I mentioned it, like, even over here where I am, in the Bible Belt, like,
in Ohio,
Christy and I's states did the worst.
Yeah.
Right? It was Christy and I's state, but even
we're winners.
We're winners. I mean, you won harder than Lawrenceburg. You did worse. I'm sorry. Yeah. You got to pull in some overtime there.
That's right.
But I mean, even in Ohio, like, we didn't lose as much as we probably should have on the I don't want to say left side. I'll say the blue side of things, because Ohio's like pretty fucking far from left as far as our representatives go. But yeah, this little midterm thing was pretty wild to watch. Even
and then so
Carrie, what's her fucking face, lost, and yeah, like, all of Donald Trump's, in case you live under a rock.
Oh, except for two.
All of Donald Trump's
all the election deniers.
Propped up. They all lost, except you said two.
Except for two, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, she is predicted to win. Boebert is today. They haven't called it because she is 500 votes over to be the winner, and that falls into the realm of a recount. Yeah. And there's like 2,200. Don't quote me on that. It's two. There are a handful of votes left, pretty much, for a state. 1,000 is nothing compared to the whole state left. So it's in recount. So she came out and called it on the Capitol steps today. This evening, I watched it, of course.
I've been waiting to hear about that one, but I haven't seen it.
I've been reading her book, My American Life. She talks about, oh my God. She talks about how her husband keeps a pen for fraud and forgery in the truck, and how all her teeth were busted out. And so she used whiteout to like just crazy white trash shit. The whole book. Yeah, she talks about being morning hot or daytime hot because they went to a strip club and the owner told her she's not hot enough to work nights, but she could work during the day. Like just insane.
Take that as a compliment?
She uses it like she owns it. There's that.
Okay,
I'm like,
that's fine. That's fine to own it.
I mean, it is what it is. It's a I was just told I'm correct on the 18th Amendment. So somebody was right. I got the being in the Constitution part, but when he said, I bet you know which amendment, yeah, he was right. Smitty knows me too well. Thank you, Smitty.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did want to point out that, and I'm sure most of our viewers have already heard about this, but what's normal is that the president's party always has a bad midterm. And this one, although we lost the sleeper team, yes, that's pretty damn good for losing the midterm, right? And during a not war
midterm, yeah.
I mean, Biden ended the war in Afghanistan.
That's what they're taking him to court over. War. Well, that's one of the things they're going to take him to court over, that they're doing investigations on. Although it was Donald Trump's policy that Biden just implemented. So I'm always like, oh, you guys, just like Obamacare was Romney's bill, a conservative. And then of course they would want it if he was pushing it, but because Obama said, and then it's always the same thing. It's just
I can get them taking him to court for how he pulled out. It's still bullshit. But if they just go with he ended it and they don't really caveat it at all, those people who don't even make an argument with it, they can eat shit and choke on it. Like, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
You got that right.
We don't need to be in a forever war where we kill way too many civilians and just sacrifice our own people for no reason.
There shouldn't be any aggressive wars. Offense only. Defense only. No offensive wars. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, wrong word.
She's aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah. Democracy, missiles, and freedom bombs are not what I want our country to be known for.
I gotta stop you right there because when you said that, it reminded me of something, and it's wonderful.
No, it's gonna be good.
Check out Robin Williams live on Broadway.
Oh, we own it.
Where he talks about when we send all this stuff to I think he said Afghanistan or I think it was that. It's like, and they were having troubles getting food. So we were dropping
Oh, yeah.
Bombs in red packages and food in little red packages.
Right.
So people are about to walk up every day and be like, what do we think?
What the hell?
Yesterday, this one went kaboom. And today, I think dinner isn't there. And what were we sending them? Fucking peanut butter and Pop-Tarts. America's got your back, bro. Like, we don't do good. Period. I guess when it comes to war, we don't do good most of the time. And that sucks to say because I'm trying to choose my words carefully. And I think it's still pretty safe to say we don't do good most of the time. We still do it sometimes. You can even say a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you don't do good.
No.
Period.
If you go to someone else's, think about this. Just look at Ukraine right now. Ukraine has a very small military compared to Russia, has a lot of things that would be against it in a war. But because they are defending their fucking home, it's different. That's why when we went into, let's say, sheesh, I can't think of it. We have a friend from there. Sheesh, I can't think of the freaking war. Asia, not, Jesus, the one.
Okay. You and Stacey have a friend there, or we have a friend?
Stacey and I have a friend from. What was the war that all in the 60s they wanted to come home from? What the fuck? Why can't I remember?
Vietnam or.
There you go. Think about Vietnam. We went in there thinking they are just villagers. They,
which ones in which decade?
Yeah, I know there's so many. They're just villagers. These aren't people who have high tech. It'll be easy peasy. Are you kidding me? They're defending their home. It's different. These military guys don't know anything really about this country except for what their mission is. And it's a job, something they have to get done. It's different when you're defending your home against invaders. It just is different. It is. And I don't think any homeland should be invaded by another country unless it is defensive, never offensive. Thank you, Vietnam, everybody. Afghanistan, Korea, Vietnam. I love you guys. I just start throwing stuff out there. I'll get it eventually. God, brain fart, big time. Yes, Vietnams. Yeah, we have a good friend named Deng who actually he goes back often. His son still lives there. We've been trying to get his ex-wife and his son here for a long time. And they just will not let it happen because they have the same last name as him. But they're married. And they're thinking he's trying to bring other family members that aren't, it's just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well.
Yes, Eleanor Roosevelt. Thank you for that quote. She is one of my heroes.
Which one?
I love that woman, Eleanor Roosevelt. Yeah. Oh,
read it. Yeah. Anyone?
She changed the role for first ladies. She changed it. She made it about doing something to make it better, not just decorating for Christmas in the White House.
Do you want to read the quote, or do you want me?
Go for it.
Okay. Anyone who thinks must be, or I'm sorry, anyone who thinks must think of the next war as they would of suicide. Eleanor Roosevelt. That's
a very brilliant woman, a very brilliant human.
A good old friend Ben is in here.
Yes, Elizabeth. Florida man.
Florida man.
Oh, I do. There were some really good wins. We did. Now, I don't know if anybody here is in Georgia, but you must vote for Warnock. You must vote for Warnock. Let me just sidebar for a minute. Warnock is a pastor at the same church that Martin Luther King was a church at. The ideology he holds is the same as the Poor People's Party. We lost John Lewis last year, the year before now. Wow, time flies. He was the only person in our Congress who has this same ideology. Now that's only one person, but God, it's missing. We're lacking it. We need that. And for Warnock to win, I'm an atheist. I don't care about his religious stuff. However, his religious stuff doesn't exclude anyone. It encompasses everyone. And I'm okay with that. I would go hang out at that church on a Sunday if I was in that area, because I agree with helping your community. I agree with all the things he stands for. So that was just a sidebar. Please vote if you're in Georgia for Warnock. Please, please, please.
Yeah.
We need that ideology in our Congress really bad right now.
I would like to point out, though, I mean, one of the biggest wins we had in this midterm was Fetterman.
Who's who?
Fetterman, the most expensive
absolutely.
race in the country. And he pulled out a win, and he had just had a stroke, and that debate really was pretty hard to watch. But Oz is just fucking terrible. He's really bad. So I'm really glad that people saw through him. Pennsylvania came through.
Yeah, nothing's wrong with his brain. And all doctors have said this. It's been 6 months. It takes 12 months minimum, sometimes 18 months to 2.5 years for those synapses to connect. He has to keep practicing. He hears it and sees it up here. It's just hard to connect it and get it out. And it's all been described scientifically. Like, we know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, we do. And I mean, also to me, and I've said this a couple times, maybe here, maybe not, but it's just because someone has a mental issue or a physical issue doesn't mean that they can't be a public servant, right? I mean, you could work for law enforcement in a wheelchair. I mean, you probably can't be in the field. That wouldn't work out so well. But I mean, a senator, well, I'm sorry, he's a governor, right? He's a governor. John. He can do his job, right? It takes him a little longer because he has to focus. I'm actually more okay with that. If you gotta focus harder on these big fucking decisions, I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter. It's not just because he's the blue guy in the race. You guys kind of know that I already hate the blue man.
He's not necessarily a Democrat. It's just there's only two major parties to choose from.
Yeah.
If you want to win and you do an alternative party behind your name, you're just not going to right now, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, I would love to see more people who are in a similar condition as John Fetterman serving the public in a public office.
He's been a public servant for years.
Yeah.
So
that's some real hardship that you go through when you deal with that longer than Fetterman has.
And he takes it personally when someone in his community gets hurt.
That's a beautiful thing.
He takes it all personally. If he's in charge and something happens, he takes it personal. And that's what we would like to see. You know, like, I'm personally hurt by this. Like, as if my family was on the line. Yes, it happened to someone else, but he's able to put himself in their shoes. And we're lacking that empathy and the world, not just our country, in the world right now. Yeah, Bamil's above Christy for president. You silly. With Christy, who would be the first Madam President as well, having the first lady. Yeah, I would never subject myself and my family to anything like that.
Okay, but let's just say you did. Let's just say you did here real quick, because I would like to know where you would put me in your administration. Because I would expect a spot.
Well, you're from a different state, so you could be my vice president.
Oh, cool. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know if you'd like throw me in there as like press secretary or just like your errand boy.
I will put you in charge of corporations. How about that?
Bodyguard or what? Okay.
Oh, yes. if you grow out your hair and put it in a ponytail,
Can only be your
totally
bodyguard.
be
if I
my
have
bodyguard.
ponytail. My credentials don't count unless I have a ponytail.
It would just be the whole, thing. Your credentials, and when you imagine those credentials, you see a guy with a ponytail.
With a ponytail and a shirt. Always sounds like this.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
In your,
Right.
Karate stuff.
In the
Gotta wear that every day.
All right, cool. All right, we need to move on to the next bit.
Florida man.
Yeah, Florida man. That's his runs. So, Florida man has the runs. Let's see if that's what Nacho put on the board. Can I see Florida man has the runs? I can't see it yet. We'll see if that's what he said. All right. He said that is a good one. It's not that. Okay. Well, next time we'll play it better. Yeah, so Florida man announced his run. What was it, yesterday or 2 days ago?
Right? It all feels mushed together. I feel like it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before.
I feel like it was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, it does feel like that, right? I love how during his speech to announce to the people that he mentions that he hasn't been for or started any war for decades and decades and decades. I'm like, dude, I'm glad you felt like your 4 years felt like decades and decades and decades, because we all did too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I watched it live, so there's that.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, I subjected myself. It did get to a point where about 45 minutes in where I skipped the next 12 minutes because it had been on for like 20 minutes before I hit play, so I could, if I needed to. And I just skipped about 12 minutes and then listened to the ending. I was like, okay, I'm ruined for the week.
So let's first go over quickly what this whole run is about. And he's got a little bit grayer blonde hair here. His photo. And I'm at donaldjtrump.com/2024. First thing, you can see what his platform's about. First thing is you want to donate 45, 50, 100, 250, 500, $1,450 or $2,900. So it's about money, because that's what he's done every time he's run or made any kind of fundraiser at all. Pretty much him and his taxes administration just soak up the funds, and that's how he makes money. He's a con man, so mostly about money. So that's great. Yeah. You see that first.
Well, you know who BlackRock is? They own like just about everything in America. I would love to do a deep dive on BlackRock soon. It will take me a while, so it is a very bad. However, BlackRock had been supporting Trump in 2016, 2017, 2018. They've decided to sit this one out. They're one of the biggest donors. So there's that. And they are not a moral institution, not a moral corporation. And for them to say, no, it's not because Donald Trump is a bad person. It's not because of the horrible things he says and he stands for, the things he believes, the things he doesn't understand. It's none of that. It's because they see the money, and whoever's going to have the power, they want to give that money to so that they can keep doing what they do. And he's not the one polling that right now. If you look at a week ago, DeSantis was up and people betting on who will win. So yeah, our system is so corrupt. It really is. Not as corrupt as Russia, not as corrupt as Saudi Arabia, but corrupt in its own right.
Yeah. Yes. I would like to say or mention someone else who's sitting this one out.
His
Um,
his daughter.
yeah, his side chick. So that's
Yeah.
his-
Oh God, that's so bad. Oh yeah, he does oogle both of those words at her.
it's
Yeah,
so weird.
it's
when you watch
uncomfortable.
the
I mean, I
videos.
think my daughters are beautiful, but I just
But-
can't even. Yeah, like they're my daughters and they're beautiful. Not that if I was younger, I would date that. I think I might throw it. Just weird. Yeah, he did whistle. Thank you, Titan. He did whistle President for Life, talking about Xi and how he calls him king. And, you know, President of China said he's not a king, that he's the president. And he said, no, you're president for life. You're the king. And he has mentioned on more than a couple times how he would love to bring that here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, terrifying.
Yeah. He's
With this, I know we're talking about Florida Man, which kind of does piggyback right off of the Red Trickle. All of it together made these not just the mainstream media right, like Fox and CNN, which they have a lot of right, and MSNBC has very corporate right wing. Yeah, no, the conservatives on those sites, of course, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the alt-right, the ones who have lost their platforms at big platforms because of their rhetoric. And they have no problem. They have their own sites now. And Right Wing Watch, I do use Right Wing Watch a lot. And I like that this past week they were able to pull these far right extremist loony fucking tunes. They're
hold
pieces.
on. I like Looney Tunes.
I like Looney Tunes too.
Use a
so
different term.
Right. They're far right asshats. Okay. This asshat in particular is an asshat because he says democracy is horrible. Democracy is horrible. The people like abortion. The people like same-sex marriage. The people like, he goes on and on and on about all these things that the people like, and says that unfortunately we can't change that. So what we need right now is a dictatorship. He kind of laughs and he's like, unironically, we do need a dictatorship. I can I'll come back to this video when we're done and put it underneath, because I'm sure people are going to say, which one is this? Right Wing Watch on YouTube. You can find it there. He goes on and on about how we need to create a dictatorship to make the people believe what we believe, to make them like what we like, pretty much line people up and shoot them if they don't. It's just insane. They're going, yeah, they understand that without gerrymandering and voter suppression, that their time is running out. It just is. He even says on the battlefield with 5 Democrats to 1 Republican, which he is not a Republican or a conservative. He just uses that word. He is a fascist. If you're thinking ideas like this fascist even says that because we can't change the way people feel and are, we have to make them through a dictatorship. And that is terrifying. Now, he holds no sway in power, but he has a lot of followers and watchers, which is terrifying. That's why I don't watch him. I watch Right Wing Watch. I don't want to give his anything. Yeah. Screw you.
Feed into it even more. I mean, isn't it like ironic though that he's so homophobic that he wants his nickname to be the dictator? Sorry, I just had to. So with his platform, one of the main things that stuck out to me, which is just super fucking great, is drug dealers should get the death penalty. That's a little further than Looney to me, isn't it? Drug dealers should get the death penalty. If you deal out weed, you deserve to die.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he said that he talked to the king of China and says, you have a drug problem. And President, this is his story, President, she says, no, I don't. No, I don't. And he says, you do have a drug problem. He's trying to get to how fentanyl is brought over from their factories, but he never quite gets to it. Instead, he says that China has what they call quick trials, that if someone gets arrested at 11 a.m. for selling drugs, they have a quick trial that day and he's executed that night. And that's what we need to bring home here. He wants death penalty for all drug dealers. I'm just like, dude, fascism is knocking on our door. And if people do not wake up and see it for what it is, we're in a very scary place. Yes, we won some. Oh yeah, her
has been talking about it too, hasn't she, Albert?
Yeah, she did. Marjorie Taylor Greene said, quote, "I'd rather have Putin as president than Biden," end quote. And if you don't believe me, look up Marjorie Taylor Greene and write that quote in. I'd rather have Putin for president and listen to her say it. Yeah, it's insane. Insane. Aw, it's okay, Brant. Mwah.
Yeah, that's one of the main things that I wanted to point out, because that should fucking be played on repeat over and over, because so a lot of Americans aren't there yet, but I am on the boat of believers that I think they're gonna get there and be like, yeah, this drug war thing isn't really turning out. We should make weed legal, and you know what? Other drugs, I don't like them, but like, are we going about it the right way? Right? So when you show them that during his announcement speech, he's saying, yeah, we should really kill all drug dealers. Even like the most normie of normal people who don't want to like follow politics, at least half of them are going to be like, oh, what?
Right. That's insane.
My brother gives.
No, most people know someone.
My brother, like, my cousin, like, deals with weed. Like,
yeah.
I don't think they should die for them.
No, nobody.
If you look into it, he totally means that.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and that's a little much. And
it's fascist.
Liddy's making a good point here, right? Alcohol, Adderall,
okay.
Right? Alcohol is a drug. You know that.
Yes, it is.
Pharmacist is.
But see, Trump can say he doesn't drink. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do any of those things. Although, I don't know.
But I mean, honestly, what are the bigger crimes than the drugs that we have, like even like the hard drugs in this country, is keeping life-saving drugs away from people who need them.
I agree.
Right? Keeping them behind a paywall. Caffeine is a drug. Thank you, Smitty. Yeah, I almost forgot about making that point to it. I appreciate you.
Yep.
It is a drug. And we know that. And I know, like, we already have like laws protecting that, basically. There's a way to look at it. But this is why we need to protect free speech the way that we do.
That's why it's the First Amendment.
That way too, because whatever we consider good speech, if one side's choosing what is good speech and what is bad speech, I mean, I think where we draw the line is like where we draw every rights line is when it conflicts with someone else's rights, right?
I agree with that.
If you call it violence, then you've crossed the line and you can be prosecuted because you've crossed over the line of your rights and someone else's.
And into someone else's, yep.
Yeah, drugs is the same thing. It should be illegal to spike someone's drink without asking, or drug a child, or an adult, like drug someone without their consent. That should already be a crime. But to just do drugs on your own, that's a libertarian, free will kind of freedom, kind of go for it, bro thing. If you want to destroy your life that way, I mean, I think we should incentivize people to not do that. I think we should incentivize people to not do that. You feel me? Like, we want to give people freedom because without it, we set precedent to take away the freedom, right? But when you cross that line of making someone else take drugs, or you're taking drugs and it's affecting your personal life so much that you're destroying your family, that's negligence. You can charge someone with negligence because of their drug use, right? If they're failing to keep up with things that we do in the household. But there's other laws that you can do, but it doesn't have to be about the drugs. I mean, there are people out there that can take heroin responsibly. They can do it responsibly. But that doesn't mean that it's for everyone. That doesn't make it a good thing at all. It just means that, like, yo, that's their choice. As long as they're not slipping it. Oh, you're muted, Christy. Go for it.
They just don't have the addiction, whatever that is, chemical, whatever it is. They just don't have that. They use it responsibly. They don't overindulge. There are people, I've actually met people that I just couldn't believe that was something they did. I'm just like, wait, what? And they had for 30 years. You know, it's just, you would never know it. So I do know that they exist, and I don't think that any one of them should go to prison, let alone be murdered by the state. So, Mitty, don't send me bugs.
And
don't ever ask Mitty what a specific bug is, and don't ask Brant either, because they will send you pictures of the bugs.
Yeah,
house centipedes are terrifying.
Yeah, they're crazy.
I didn't know what they were.
We have them where like at this house, but I've had them in houses that they're creepy. Usually find them in the bathtub.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we don't have them.
It's scary as shit. Anyways,
yeah, there's too many legs involved.
There's a lot of legs.
Tap out.
It's like a centipede amount of legs.
Gives me the. Yeah.
So I would like to point out real quick, because this is something we talked about, and I only want to make this connection, be consistent. As humanists that are fairly liberal in the sense of, like, we're not left, but lower, right? We're liberty. We want people to be free to live their lives, to live their best lives, right? And if doing a little cocaine every now and then is what makes you happy, we think that you should have the right to do that in the safety of your home without having to go to prison for it, as long as you're responsible and you're not breaking any laws or commitments that you have, right? There's always a caveat, but everything in moderation is the sense that we're taking this.
I mean, I can't eat all this candy at one time.
You can, but moving on.
That's it. I'm done. No. No, I'm not doing this anymore. No, I get it. You're making really good points.
The other thing that we talked about earlier is LGBTQ rights, gay rights, right? If it's a person that you love and you spend most of your life with, it's the same sex as you, or it's just not gender neutral. That's gives a fuck, right? What two people want to do with their lives to make each other happy, and one person, you're only fucking three, whatever, right? As long as they aren't harming anyone else, and not overstepping anyone else's rights, right? If a gay couple goes into a restaurant and starts shooting up the restaurant,
Yeah.
I think it's another crime.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
It's not being gay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the idea of being free to live your life in a manner of which makes you happy without stepping on someone else's rights. And I forgot to mention in that bill for gay marriage earlier, a lot of religious folk the churches are speaking out against it because they say this goes against religious freedoms. And it doesn't. It doesn't, because there is a caveat in the bill that they are purposefully leaving out, or they're just fucking ignorant because they're not reading the bill. It's either ignorance or they're lying. It's the only two ways.
A little bit of both.
The caveat is churches who are against gay marriages, same-sex marriages, don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. There's protections in the bill saying, church, against this, they have to go somewhere else. You do have the right to practice your religion and yada, yada, yada. I think that's fine. I also think churches should be tax exempt. I think that, but I can't. So I say that because I do see much more in the argument, because I've heard it a few times this week now, that if a church is tax exempt, they're doing good for the human being. Kind of government work a little bit, right? They're doing socially helpful things. And you can't be that fucking picky, right? And maybe you are exempt from that because you're getting government tax breaks. So then you should. Otherwise, then you get your full religious freedom thing, because you've got full freedom. Like, you see what I mean? Either way, that's not the case.
Right.
Right now, I'm still for that way. That's fine to me. I know it was still stuck for some, and they've been taken to court, what the fuck ever. But that's in the fucking bill. It's not stepping on anyone's toes. And it's silly. And that's just what we want. We want to legislate. We want to see legislation, because we don't legislate anything. We just talk about legislation. We just don't want any people's toes stepped. We want everyone to get off each other's fucking toes. If you want to argue about stuff, that's great. Arguing can be really productive sometimes. Maybe not to the people arguing, but to the people listening. That's fine. That's valuable. It really is. But as far as we legislate, we have to err on the side of freedom, not authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
Because that hurts the individual. That hurts the goose and the gander.
Yep. It's nothing good.
So, do you have anything else to say on the Trump stuff? Because I backtracked.
No, it's one of those topics. I agree. More democracy, expanding freedoms. In a place of privilege.
Looks like.
Yeah, in a place of privilege, or from a place of privilege, equality feels like oppression. And I love that quote. And I can't remember who first said it, but God, it resonates. It really does. Coming from a place of totally forgot the word now. Coming from oh gosh, now I just totally messed it. I can't remember. Seriously, equality feels like oppression. Coming from a place of privilege. Coming from a place of privilege, equality feels like oppression.
Yeah,
And that's what we see. We see people who are struggling and don't understand why they're struggling. They don't understand how their parents had this type of lifestyle and now they can't. And so because they don't understand and they're not informed, and they are able to believe things like a virgin had a baby and a man walked on water and came back to life, because they're able to believe those things, they're able to pretty much believe anything. And unfortunately, that's where we are. And so that place of privilege, and I'm not saying they're privileged. We're talking about a lot of people. I'm talking about privileged people too as well, but I'm also talking about a lot of Americans who are poor or working class Americans who are Trump voters or QAnon believers. They are able to fall for anything because they don't understand how to discern if something is a fact or if it is propaganda. And unfortunately, those same people are struggling, but blaming the wrong things because they don't know how. Media literacy is so important. It is so important. I really wish that false things were just not allowed to be posted without, now I'm free speech, without a caveat or a title saying opinion immediately, or yeah, that's it. This is my opinion. Never, this is factual information, or come across as factual information when I, a layman, can just sit there and not even have to look anything up and know that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who, poor working class especially, or who are voting for the people who will work against the things that are a big problem in their life. I'm not saying they're privileged as far as wealth and any of those things, but they also have held that, whiteness, that straightness, that Christianness that just is accepted. And so when they hear of other people that are not them, that are different than them, trans people, gay people, bi people, anyone that's different, having the same rights that they do, they feel like their rights are less than. They feel.
In the live chat.
Yes, you did. Yay, thank you. When you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Thank you so much. Yes, I love that. Pretty much sums up the Florida man announcement. He feels he's coming from a place of privilege. He cannot believe that people would question him. He cannot believe it. He is a victim. He put his hands up and said, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. Now, if someone else literally isn't a victim, he'll tell them to quit acting like a victim. Like, I can't. Sometimes my head just hurts trying. I can't. Donald Trump is an oxymoron.
No, I'm not. I feel like I have to caveat this a lot. So if you don't believe me, it's understandable.
Get closer to the mic.
Not usually.
It's hard to hear you again. Right. There you go.
I said,
perfect.
I feel like I have to caveat this a lot. So if you don't believe me, I get why now. But I'm not usually for violence. But if Trump is arrested, I kind of hope that they bump his head on Dustin's piece of car, because I love irony, sometimes more than justice. Just rough them up, hit their head on the door. It would be pretty fun. Anyway, so moving on to our second last topic. Our last one's pretty short, so stick around. Don't you go anywhere.
That's right.
Now, to my knowledge, you've mostly got this one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I have things to say on it, but I didn't pull anything up to read or write anything.
No, it's fine. I got it covered. I'm ready.
She's got it, y'all.
Woosah, rub my ears. Woosah. Okay. I couldn't think of a title, so I just say what it is. It's the MAGA Supreme Court justices are exposed celebrating at a Federalist Society's 40th anniversary, because it is what it is. Last Thursday, not yesterday, the Federalist Society held their 40th anniversary gala, which of course was a black tie event. The Federalist Society calls themselves conservative, but nothing about them is. These are far right-wing extremist lawyers who fought every dang day for the past 40 years to attack the fundamental freedoms and rights of every American. This is the very same group that has pushed for decades to overturn Roe versus Wade. This is the very same group that has just blocked President Biden's student loan forgiveness debt cancellation program. All of their extremist decisions hurt the American people. The Federalist Society has worked nonstop for the past 40 years to place judges in these positions that they can share their hateful extremist ideology. This hateful ideology that only focuses on how they can help build billionaires and other wealthy people like them at the expense of us, the American people. The 40th anniversary gala was blatantly one of the most unethical things I've seen. I literally was fucking fuming watching this thing. 4 of the right-wing extremist Supreme Court justices show up and get a standing ovation for overturning Roe v. Wade and for continuing their radical agenda. Though we had Justice Amy, go ahead.
Just to reiterate, they're totally not ideological. Like they're not Republican judges.
No, no. I think Republican by definition is gone. There might be just a couple handfuls of them in power. Not saying that the populace isn't full of them, of course. But as far as leadership in Congress, there's just a handful that would be the definition of conservatism, unfortunately. So we had Justice Amy Coney Barrett, Justice Neil Gorsuch, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, I still like beer, and Justice Samuel Alito in like $5,000 suits, $1,000 suits, and ball gowns. Everyone there holds their glass of champagne up to them and toasts them for overturning Roe v. Wade. It was just, oh, so gross. Extremists toasting on how they've screwed every American and will continue to screw us. American people's confidence in our nation's judiciary is at the lowest it's ever been because of these radical extremist MAGA judges. And that's just what they're going to be called in my head. Like Judge Eileen Cannon, go ahead and look that name up, in the Southern District of Florida, Judge Mark Pittman in the Northern District of Texas, who just blocked President Biden's student debt cancellation program, and the justices of the 8th Circuit, who also blocked Biden's student debt cancellation program. The Federalist Society seems to me to be blatantly pro-pandemic as well, and always try to stop common sense approaches to address said problems. Speaking at this gala was former judge, not a judge anymore, of Michigan, a Michigan Supreme Court justice. Like I said, he's no longer a judge. He introduced Justice Alito while stating what an important decision this was, what an important opinion this was. The great decision it was to overturn Roe v. Wade. Like, he went on how this is just such a great thing. And the extremist crowd went absolutely wild when he said this. They were just so excited. Of course, they also gave Alito a standing ovation. Then Justice Amy Coney Barrett spoke. She spoke to the very lawyers and lobbyists who helped those extreme right-wing judges get their jobs as Supreme Court justices. The very same lawyers who will be arguing these cases in front of the Supreme Court justice. You guys, this is a real conflict of interest. I just don't see how anyone else doesn't see it. We are told religiously in this country that the Federalist Society isn't a political organization. It's apolitical. I fucking call bullshit. 100% bullshit. That they aren't about who's Democratic or Republican. Like, hearing them say that, I'm just like, wash your mouth out with soap. This is a far right-wing extremist organization and always has been and always will be. The Federalists, go ahead.
Thank you. I had my hand raised because that reminded me of one of my favorite quotes from the movies. So I'll let you guess what the movie is from. Or if
Okay.
you can't guess that, we'll wait and see if anyone gets in the chat. We are men of action. Lies do not become us.
We are man of action.
Lies do not become us.
I can't hear the last part. It was too quiet.
We are men of action. Lies do not become us. I mean, the Republican Party should really take that one off. They can't. Not that these are Republican governments. All right, go on. And then I'll say what
I don't, I know it. It's an old movie. Marriage. Is it that movie?
Yeah, it is. You got it. It's the Princess Bride.
Gold Star.
Yeah, Gold Star.
I'm a nerd. Marriage. One of the best. We watched it not too long ago. It's amazing. It is free on YouTube. So if anybody wants to watch The Princess Bride, it is available and free on YouTube. Just letting you know. Yes.
Right.
Okay. The Federalist Society pushes this false agenda daily for 40 gosh darn years now. So to sum up what is happening and what was happening at this gala, you have the individuals who are and will be arguing the cases in the crowd. And the Supreme Court justices on stage, and those Supreme Court justices are giving them awards, and the crowd is cheering them on. How is this okay? This is a huge, major conflict of interest. We, the American people, do know and understand that this is a major conflict of interest. I'm sure if anyone had the time to inform themselves on these things, they would agree that this is a major conflict of interest. We are not idiots. We understand that the Federalist Society is not apolitical. We, the people, know exactly what this extremist group is doing. This is exactly why the midterms turned out how they turned out. The people have been gerrymandered and voter suppressed, and they still were able to do the unthinkable, hold on to one half of our Congress in a midterms, because the way that it is set up, literally more Democrats have to vote to get this. With our electoral college, like, it's just not that that has anything to do with the midterms, it's a presidential, but it does tie in. Our state, the one I'm in right now, Florida, this gerrymandered map was drawn up and it was horrible. And Ron DeSantis said, hold my beer. And he made it so horrible, and it still got accepted. I think that it should be illegal, like literally not going to happen in this country, not state, in this country, that gerrymandering is allowed. I think independent organizations need to be created, and they need to be the ones to come in and do this. I don't think any state should be in charge of their own gerrymandering. That is fucking bullshit. It's awful. Amy Coney Barrett even jokes about, quote, oh, it's so nice to be in front of a crowd that's applauding me in a standing ovation instead of being in front of a crowd of protesters protesting my decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Ugh, so horrible. I felt that this whole gala was a big fat middle finger to us, just like a few people who have covered this, they felt the same way. And that is actually a quote from one of them, because I'm like, yeah, it does. This is what Judge William Pryor said. He is the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. In case anyone wants to know, it's Judge William Pryor. Quote, you know, he says this ironically, and it is a fact. So it's so cringy. After 40 years, I decided it was time to look harder and investigate this mysterious and secretive network that critics charge have captured the Federalist judiciary, including the Supreme Court of the United States, end quote. Right. We would like you to do that, but he was just being an asshat. That's an actual quote from Judge Quire, who opened these ceremonies at the gala, basically mocking the very people who he supported taking rights away from. We know that literally hundreds of millions wait, no, that's not enough. Billions of dollars were injected into the Federalist Society. We know that dark money from right-wing extremist groups that they've hid and concealed to this day have been given to the Federalist Society. All money that they've put in to get these judges appointed and to push cases like the Dobbs case and cases that we see right now before the Supreme Court. The same Supreme Court, which is about to overturn what little remains of affirmative action. I mean, they've been hacking at it for years. Cases that they push to be seen in the Supreme Court, cases that erode the rights of people, cases that remove the separation of church and state. All of these cases have been coordinated, believe that. That is not a conspiracy. This is just the fact of the reality that we live in right now. I do want to say that I know that there are people at Georgetown who have said that they have people coming in to their law school who come in to talk to students from the Federalist Society, promising them careers and right off the bat money. The same Federalist Society that authored the Patriot Act. That is anti-constitutional right there. Justice Amy Coney Barrett literally said in her speech at the gala, quote, "You know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Federalist Society." Right, you're not qualified. You were picked because you're a hack. You were picked because you would sell your soul for money. That's why. What's happened and what is happening in our Supreme Court is wrong. Our justices are illegitimate. Not all of them, but we know which ones. 40 years of American harm is their legacy. It's despicable and it's disgusting. You know, they talk about, and when I say they, you watch these videos of people being interviewed at political rallies, and they talk about the deep state. That's who this is. This is the deep state. People and groups and organizations like the Federalist Society that rule from the darkness. Like, fuck that. Where I'm over it. I'm glad that people are starting to pick up on this. There are other people with actual power. The guy who is going to be taking Nancy Pelosi's spot, he is so anti-Clarence Thomas. So anti-Clarence. He calls him out by name all the time. And I'm not a huge fan of his. He is actually, he has fought leftists and progressivism every step of the way. He is a corporate Democrat to the bottom of his core.
Who else would be taking over for Nancy?
Exactly. LEAH. I wanted LEAH. That's who I wanted. Yeah, she deserves it. She deserves it. Here, LEAH, this is to you. I love you. But of course, she would put regulations in. And, you know, regulation is just another word for law. People who regulate would be just another word for law enforcers. And they don't want laws or law enforcers. So if you think about every time you hear regulation, think about law. People who enforce those as law enforcers. You will start to see how they protect you. And, you know, what just happened with Bitcoin, the whatever, FTS, he robbed people. Whether he did it intentionally or not, it doesn't matter. There are no regulations to stop him from doing those things. So regulations are important. They are safe. They are good. They are for the protection of the regular everyday citizen. And this current Supreme Court, not all, you know who I'm talking about, they would deregulate everything that they could get their hands on if they could get away with it. They would want no regulations and complete fascist law over the people of this country. They would love that. They would absolutely love it. Obviously, they want to take rights away from people. So, there's that.
Oh, I was trying to tell you earlier what my greatest case scenario would be, right? and then I got sidetracked until
Happens.
now. um, no, I thought that maybe it'd be really cool if they did bring something to overturn the Obergefell to the Supreme Court, or like it's making its way up the line, and then Biden packs the court.
Yeah, I wish. I do want to say, this will make you feel better after that story. As of last week, President Biden has put more federal judges in than any president in history. Yeah. So we have that. And on top of that being good news, they're the most diverse group of judges this nation has ever seen. So there's that as well, which we would like our judicial to look and represent the country that they're ruling on, right? So this is a good thing. I don't think anyone should be brought on because of the color of their skin or chosen because of the color of the skin. I think that people should be chosen because of their merit. However, if they represent per their merit, it shouldn't matter what color they are. And it just happens that that's exactly what was done. People were like, you know, we need to see our Congress, our judges, our law enforcement, all of these institutions represent the nation that they rule over. I mean, it's not too much to ask. We're slowly getting there. And I do want to add, I'm not a Biden fan. However, Biden has been governing. He has. He doesn't make a big deal about it. He doesn't talk about it. There's a lot of things I'm not happy with. Right. But I wish he could too. I wish he would come out and say, this is what I've done. I've done more than anyone else. These are the numbers. And people do it for him. And it is what it is. But also, we haven't had someone who actually governs for a while. And it is a while, 4 years, whatever. It just feels like Biden's first whole year, nothing was happening. But things were happening. It just wasn't being talked about.
I know it's too refreshing to even think about. But it would be nice to have the opposite of Donald Trump. If they win, I deserve all the credit. If they lose, I deserve none of the blame.
Oh, I watched that too. Yeah. He said that with a straight face. Yeah. I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard. That felt like a Saturday Night Live opening.
It would be wonderful though if we had Joe Biden come out himself and say, this is what I did.
Yeah.
So he can take credit for it. And then when he fucks up, he can come out and be like, maybe I could have done that in a better way. And I plan on fixing this problem because it's a problem that I caused. Or the way that I went about doing something caused it. That would be fantastic for any president who did that. I respect that Biden. But if we had that, don't you think the American people would be a little more forgiving just because of honesty's sake? Because I feel like even MAGA people would be a little more well, yeah, he does take credit for his fucking mistakes. I've never seen a Democrat do that before. It would just be refreshing for everyone.
It would.
If any president came out to take credit and also came out to take credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when he has the receipts to prove it. The White House's Twitter account has been doing a smash up job still. Remember, I told you before they were calling out people after he said he wanted to forgive student loan, and all these people came out against it, and he named each person by name, how much they borrowed from the government and how much was forgiven by the government, each person. And the video of them saying that it's not fair and people shouldn't have to pay for it and blah, 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 all that stuff. Yeah. And put that video with it. So they've been doing a bang up job. The person they put in charge of it has been doing a bang up job. And that's where I actually get a lot of information that then I go look up and confirm or dismiss. There's only been a couple of times where I'm like, oh, that's a little hyperbole, but there is some merit behind it. For the most part, I'd say 98% of everything posted on the White House Twitter has been like, God dang, all right now, all right now. So we'll see if Twitter lasts much longer. Oh, I've been paying attention to that as well.
That was another quickie we were going to go through, but we're not on, so we'll have to get that quickie next time. See if
it's not a quickie if it lasts forever.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, are we ready for our last?
We are. We are. Guys, it is almost Thanksgiving now.
One of my favorite holidays.
I mean, as a kid, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Being a history nerd, I kind of grew to be like, oh. But I'm also live in reality and understand that has nothing to do with who I am and what I believe. However, the history of it is important to know. And we're going to put all of that aside and not even talk about any of that today. We're going to talk about what we're thankful for, because I think it's really important. And it's hard when you are inundated with this bullshit all the time, to sit back and look around and think, wow, yeah, democracies are messy, but I am so grateful that I live in one. So grateful. And I think about that more and more these days, because it is so fragile and we could lose it. I'm also thankful for my wife. I can say that and it mean like actually what the words mean now.
That's what you
I know, it's so cute. I do have Mr. Bean on my list. Today I'm so grateful that Mr. Bean and I found each other. He's like my little best friend, my stinky best friend. I'm thankful for you, Mac, and for being able to do this as an outlet. Like I do consume a lot of information, and it's nice to be able to construct that into something to give back a little. Here's what I found. I'm grateful for being corrected. I'm grateful for new information that helps me see things in a different way. I'm grateful that I was able to walk away from magical thinking. You guys, I think about that almost daily. How I would think about things before, and how fortunate I am today to not have to be fearful of this, to not have to be so scared and worried about these things that are unknown, that actually they are known and you just have to go look. There's a lot of that. Yeah. And Nacha, I'm so grateful for you. So grateful for you. None of this would be possible without you and your help. And I know I probably don't say it enough, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Smitty and Brantley and B-Mills above and all of we have a new person in here. And we have Uncle Beck in here. I am thankful for all of you guys who show up. And Titus, of course. We're fortunate to eat every day. The tiny little things. On my list, I put thankful to be able to walk, because I didn't think I would still be walking. And I'm still walking, and I will be walking for a long time. Not that means anything. But yeah.
You're still sitting.
I'm still sitting and spinning. You can tell me to sit and spin, because I will.
As long as you can.
As long as I can. That's right. I just try to think about things from a grateful and humanist viewpoint. Not that I have a choice. That's just how I see things. Yeah. There's a lot more, but that's a good little bit. Yeah. Your turn.
I think that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same order of what you gave them too.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm grateful for my fiance, kids, our kids.
Those babies.
Pretty much thing we got going on.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful.
Thank you very much.
You never have a boring day.
No. No, I'm thankful for my extended family.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, you finally got girls. That's what you wanted. It was a little girl.
yeah.
And you wanted, you got.
Got it.
Not one.
There's no taking them back.
No. Nope. You can't come in and out of kids' lives. And I know you're not about that. So yeah, you're there in their lives. That's just what it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Friends. Always grateful for friends. That's actually why Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. Because I like to have a Friendsgiving. And I like to think that like that's why Thanksgiving became a thing. Because
right. Yeah, what it is today and how it got there are two different things.
Correct.
And you should understand both at the same time.
We should.
Yes.
But I like to think of it less of a family holiday and more of a friends holiday. People who don't have that blood tie come together to help each other out and have a wonderful day. I like that. Thanksgiving. The people that you want to have around that are obligated. You're not obligated. I like that idea. And then I'm also incredibly grateful for you guys are counting in my friends. I've known you both for years. Christy and Nacho. This has been a really great thing. I always feel bad because I started Gray Skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't made content in like over 2 years now. But I have made content. We do this show every 2 weeks. We're doing it every week. We took like a month off tops at one point.
Yeah.
But like we're still doing stuff. Like you and I are still trying to learn
every day.
Like on philosophy, religion, politics, not like we're just always in the know, and we try to make it practical by trying to apply what we learn in our lives and here at the show so we can help other people who care about these topics. Talk to friends and family. In
regular people terms and regular person words.
Professional layman. So I mean I appreciate doing this you every couple of weeks.
I do too.
Like having Nacha help us put this show in and just like dedicating every 2 weeks to a few hours.
And Marrow.
Also making that sacrifice.
Yes, thank you, Marrow.
The greatest nacho in all the land.
In all the land.
Yes. All the land. No, I'm incredibly grateful for you guys. Our captive audience that we won't have, who are usually only 5 or 6 at a time. We still get a decent amount of views for a small channel if we just put out a live show.
Yeah, it's not riveting stuff where people are yelling at each other, or it's not a dumpster fire. Hopefully, it is a little bit educational, and hopefully, it does talk about things that are, they're important to me. I love that I can come here with whatever I've been focused on for the past week or week and a half. Most of the time it's 2 weeks, and bring it. And it's because I care about something and people actually care to listen. And I think that as long as I stay covering things that I care about, someone will probably always want to listen, because I like to show up on channels where people care about what they're talking about, even if I don't understand or I've never heard it before. You can tell they care about it. And I hope that comes through. And I'm grateful, so grateful for LEAH. I love that you chose me, Mac. I think it has been awesome. I love our time here together. I think that it's like the best part of every 2 weeks.
It's like you said, it's like therapeutic.
Yes, I was just gonna say that. It's therapy. It's political therapy.
Yeah, it is. It is. And again, it's nice to have our small audience here um to sometimes challenge us, to support us, and just be here. It's a nice small community that we built. We have over 1,000 people
I
in
know.
our Facebook group.
I know. I love it.
That's super cool. Just the idea of what we do just makes people want to like keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we will be having another movie night, by the way.
I thought of a movie. I'm trying to think of what it was.
Well, I also have some of our amazing guests on our chat have also put some suggestions out. So we'll have to have a private meeting and discuss all of that. But we will have another movie night soon. Hopefully, it will be very fun. Maybe we have Christmas coming up, so maybe we'll do one right around New Year's. You know, obviously we won't take your New Year from you. I mean, yes. Mac and I will probably take each other's, but that's different.
We're not going to try to live stream. We're just gonna
we'll get in trouble. We'll do like we did last time where we come on and let everyone know we're going to do it. Here's the link, and we'll watch a movie that we won't get in trouble for showing privately.
Didn't we do like a 20-minute show and then a movie night or something?
Yes, like we sure did. Yeah.
So we'll do something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know when. We'll probably have to wait till I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up for the night. We'll probably miss at least one fortnight next month because of all of the holidays coming.
Right.
So just be aware of that, everybody.
Yes, you guys. I'm in Florida, Max in Ohio, and Nacho Witness is in Australia. So we do have to, he's in the future. So it's Friday here, it's Saturday there. That's, I know, confusing, but he does exist. I don't want to mess up
this like Saturday holiday.
Yes. So we do have
unthankful.
Some logistics. Yes, he would be ungrateful, unthankful. We wouldn't do that to you, Nacho. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you guys for showing up tonight.
midnight here. I think that means it's like 2:30. So we are going to wrap it up. Guys, thank you so much, and stay humanist.
For godless sakes.